Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Charles Sabansi. I want to welcome you guys to another episode of the Dreamerspro Show, where we cover everything from sports, hot topics, classic debates, entertainment, and where we give you guys a fresh perspective on things and how we see them. And we are finally back. We are finally back after a long, well-deserved vacation. Actually, before we get into this video here, I want to apologize. We want to apologize for all the people that we pranked on our way out by the video we put out. Essentially saying this would be our last episode. We got a lot of people, but also we saw that a lot of people were worried, which pretty much lets us know that we're doing the right thing. A lot of people enjoyed the show, so we appreciate all of your support, and all the people that left comments really meant a lot to us. But we're definitely not quitting. We're definitely not quitting at all. In fact, we're just getting started. So during this break, a lot of things were happening in media, right? And I'm one of those people that finds it a bit hard to totally disconnect. The reason I find it hard to disconnect at times is that this job, a lot of the times, is a mental job, right? You have to immerse yourself. Anybody that's doing sports media tell you, you have to immerse yourself into this field. Otherwise, you're just not going to be abreast with things that are happening, and things happen so quickly that if you're not really following and keeping score, you're going to fall out of the loop. So even talking to Marco, the co-founder of Dreamerspro, before this hiatus, you know, he was like, just relax and da-da-da. And I'm like, listen, the thing that's really going to help me to relax is just the thing of not thinking about topics every single day. But there's no way I can't follow what's happening in the sports world, because if I decided to do that, when I come back, I now have to spend all of this time catching up, and I don't want to do that. Now, while I was gone, a plethora of things were happening. And we're going to get to some of those stories. But one of these stories was centered around Stephen A. Smith, who seems to make the news all of the time. And it was centered around essentially some comments that he made on ESPN First Take. Now, for the people watching this show, or for the people watching that watch sports media that follow ESPN, you guys know that Stephen A. Smith is an opinionated person. You also know that he loves to name drop. Sometimes he'll say the person's name. In other cases, he won't, right? He'll say that, you know, a source told me, somebody pretty high up, or an NBA legend said this, or blah, 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 blah. That's what he loves to do. And apparently, he had gone out there and said that the situation with Lonzo Ball had deteriorated so far that it's to the point where he even finds it problematic to even stand up out of a chair. That's how bad his situation has gotten. So what happened? Lonzo Ball takes it upon himself to release a video of him. I'm going to assume that was California, the place, the view looked amazing. And he's sitting on his chair and someone is filming him, and you see him kind of sitting down and standing up on one leg. And he's saying, Stephen A. Smith, what's going on? I don't know where you got your sources from. I like you, but like, come on, stop. Like, what's going on? Who are you getting your sources from? That I cannot even get up out of a chair, that it's so difficult for me to get up out of a chair, right? So what happened? In typical Stephen A. Smith fashion, he had to respond. And what happened was he came back on ESPN First Take, and he carved out a segment where he absolutely not only responded to Lonzo Ball, but took it a step further by even talking about his injury past. And then on his Stephen A. Smith podcast, he goes on there and basically says, bro, I'm not the one to play with, because I can even tell you the doctors that operated on you and the days that they did. So for those of you who didn't hear that, we're going to play a compilation for you guys now, and then we're going to come back and react to it. Take a listen to what he had to say here.
Yesterday, I was talking about Lonzo Ball, Doggy, Kim, and I talked about how I wish him nothing but the best, because I'm not hearing great things about his knee. You've had people saying, damn, it's difficult for him to even get up from sitting down and stuff like that. So he went on Twitter, and he was like on one leg, getting back and forth up knee. Well, you talk about Stephen, I like you, man, but when you talk about who's your sources, blah, 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 blah. Lonzo Ball, who I'm fond of. I really, really like the kid, and I really believe that if he were healthy, that the Chicago Bulls would be better. I'm not trying to throw any shade on him. Covering the NBA for as long as I have, you hear things. and you hear people speaking in jest and talk about how difficult it is for him, how painful the things have been with his knee. And that's what I was alluding to. But then you're going to do something on poolside on Twitter. Is that your definition of really being healthy, Lonzo Ball? Then why are you scheduled not to play before January? Why did the Chicago Bulls issue an official statement in June talking about they didn't know and that your season, the 2023 season, might be in jeopardy? Why did they do that? I'd also like to add to Lonzo Ball, who, by the way, turns 26 in October. This is a man that had a cartilage transplant in his left knee in March. The procedure on his knee was the third procedure he has had since he signed a 4-year, $80 million deal with the Bulls in 2021. It's more than a year and a half since he actually played in his last NBA game. That date would be January 14th, 2022. And since signing his deal in 2021, he's played in only 35 games. Okay, he's played, in only 35 games before the injury. So what I'm saying to you is this: games do miss due to injury in the last 2 seasons. Last year, he missed all 82 games, and he's scheduled to miss at least half the season now, right? The year before that, he missed 47 games. 42 of those games was due to injury, all right? Okay, in his career, 2017, 2018, 29 games missed, knee and shoulder. 35 games missed, ankle. In 2018, 2019, 2020, 6 games missed because of his groin. 2021, 17 games missed because of his thumb, his toe, his hip, his knee. Obviously, Lonzo Ball took offense to that. Lonzo Ball is 26 years of age. He's been in the league for about 4 years. It's one of those situations where he got a bit defensive and he wanted to make sure that he clapped back at me. And you know, he does what some of these guys will try and do in this day and age before I felt the need to address them. Do you want me to give the names of your doctors and the surgeries that you have had? I'm not going to do that, okay? But I will throw out some other numbers that people need to know. Like, for one, the last game Lonzo Ball played was against the Golden State Warriors, January of 2022? That was when Lonzo Ball severely injured his knee, leading to several surgeries. In your career, you've missed around 46 to 48% of your games. The exact number, I'm not sure, but I am absolutely positive it's around 220 games. I have more. Lonzo Ball turns 26 in October. I'm just looking at my social media guy. I'm looking at my assistant smart. I'm sorry. I don't want to get on them too much, but I just think it's important to throw this out there, okay? Lonzo Ball turns 26 in October. Had a cartilage transplant in his left knee in March. The procedure on his knee was the third he's had since he signed a 4-year, $80 million contract with the Bulls in 2021. It's more than a year and a half since Ball has played. I told y'all that already. And since signing his deal in 2021, he played in only 35 games before the injury. Games missed due to the injury the last 2 seasons. He missed all 82 games last season. He missed 47 games the season before that, 42 due to injury. Okay? And in his career, 2017, 2018, knee and shoulder injury. 2018, 2019, he missed 35 games. Ankle injury. By the way, the knee and shoulder injury, the first go around, 29 games. So 29 games missed for the knee and shoulder in 2017, 2018. 2018, 2019, he missed 35 due to the ankles. 2019, 2020, he missed 6 to the groin and thigh injury. 2020 and 2021, he missed 17 games due to a thumb, toe, hip, and knee injury. And I told y'all, he missed the 42 out of the 47 games due to injury because of his knee in 21-22. And last season, he missed 82 games. In 6 NBA seasons, Lonzo Ball has missed 211 of a possible 472 games, which is 45% due to injury, not including load management. Okay? Why are you making a video with your knees? Now, if I couldn't go off camera, if I didn't want to go off camera because of the lighting in my studio here, do y'all know I can get up and sit down, get up and sit down, and get up and sit down all night long? Does that mean that I can run the hell up, down, up and down the damn court 94 feet for 30 to 35 minutes a night? Sitting poolside on a bench, getting up on one knee, you think that shows that you're healthy? You gonna call me yapping when I have all of this information in front of me? Would you like me to tell where you had surgery and exactly what date you had surgery on? Would you like me to get the names of the doctors? I do have them. I know the actual doctors that operated on you. The actual locations. Of course, I wouldn't do something like that to you, bro. I would never do something like that. That's none of my business.
So you heard what he had to say. Now, before I even get into that, what I want to do is I want to give you guys some more supporting information. So as I was reading upon this story, I came across a website called Hot New Hip Hop. And essentially, the article starts off with the headline saying, Stephen A. Smith claims Lonzo Ball's doctors are his sources. The article then continues on. This is a massively unethical admission for Smith to make. It goes further. A beef has erupted between injured Chicago Bulls star Lonzo Ball and ESPN pundit Stephen A. Smith. It all began earlier this week when Smith said on First Take that a source had told him Ball was having difficulty sitting and standing. Ball, who will miss the 2023-24 NBA season, is continuing to rehab from a torn meniscus suffered in January of 2022. In response to Smith, Ball posted a video on social media asking Smith who his sources were, as he showed that he could indeed sit and stand with minimal effort. Instead of taking the L, Smith decided to double down. He then said, "You're really going to sit down and blah, blah, blah." So he went on to say those things. And it continues on, "Bro, you ain't healthy," Smith said on First Take. Smith then proceeded to further address the issue on the Stephen A. Smith show and may have inadvertently admitted to serious journalistic malpractice in the process. Then it says, Stephen A. Smith claims his sources are Lonzo Ball's doctors. He said, "Would you like me to tell you the names of the doctors that operated on you? I know the actual doctors. If I said it's because someone close to you told me." So that's what Stephen A. Smith said. And we haven't even gotten into the meat and potatoes of this video. So we then came across an article from Fadeaway World where some NBA fans were actually going off on Stephen A. Smith. One person says, "Stephen A. Smith, let it go, man. You just snitched on several HIPAA violations. Those doctors about to lose their license." Other people went on continuing to blast him for basically going out there and saying, one guy says, "King of changing the narrative." Another person says, "Lonzo's lawyers on the way to court." Another person said, this is the side of Stephen A. Smith that will be his downfall. So, this was what was said about Stephen A. Smith. What are my thoughts about this? Well, I have a few. Number one, this is messy. Or rather, that was messy. That was absolutely messy. There was no good reason to say that, number one. Number two, by you bringing up data about his injury history, it has absolutely nothing to do. When I say absolutely nothing, I mean absolutely nothing to do with the fact that Lonzo Ball said, somewhere y'all was saying that I can't even stand up from a chair. Lonzo Ball in his video was addressing that comment by standing up and down from a chair. You then go on to say, I'm going to tell you about your injury history, and then I'm going to tell you about the doctors that did an operation on you. Those two things are mutually exclusive. He addressed one point, you brought up an irrelevant point. Because the point you brought up was, well, in fact, you do have an injury history. Well, in fact, you are injured. And all Lonzo Ball was saying was, bro, I can stand up and sit down from a chair without problem, which is something you said. So you took the argument in a totally different direction. That's number one. Number two, bringing up the doctors. First of all, and I got to say this, Stephen A. Smith has a habit of threatening people. He has a habit of, he was talking like he was John Gotti or something. He was up there talking like as if he was some kingpin or something. The way he was talking. I know people and I know this person and I know that person. Like, bro, cut it out. Like, you're reporting on the news. Cut it out, bro. Like, what are we doing? You ain't spinning a block on nobody. Cut it out. About you know people and I know. And Stephen A. Smith has done this to other players. He's even publicly come on ESPN First Take when he told Kevin Durant. When Kevin Durant questioned his sources, he's like, trust me, you don't want to make an enemy. What is up with all of these threats, man? What's up with all of these threats? Number one, why would you go out there and release that type of, what are you achieving with that to prove, oh yeah, I know? Don't you know that you're going too far when you make those kind of statements? Aren't you aware of this? Why would you do something like that? Why would you do that? That was totally unnecessary. Unnecessary. And Stephen A. Smith is a very smart guy, but for some reason, he finds it difficult understanding why people are annoyed with him over it's things like this. You cannot be that oblivious about the effects of your actions. You cannot be. You just cannot be. Why would you put that guy's business in the street and then start off with saying, you know, I like you? Yo, bro, listen, if you're going to be talking about me like that, don't say you like me. Don't rock. You're not rocking out with me. That's just, to me, that's just like a soft buffer before you insult somebody. Like, no disrespect. And whenever somebody says no disrespect, usually the next thing that is said after that, it is total disrespect. Don't tell me you love me and it's all love and blah, 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 blah. And then come out there and talk about, I know the doctors that performed the operation on you and the day and the clinic. First of all, why would you know that information? Second of all, how did you know that information? And this is what happens when you talk too much. Trying to flex on, yo, I know this and I know that. Yo, like that's almost cussed. That's unnecessary. That is unnecessary, bro. And if Stephen A. Smith ever catches a whiff of this, don't be confused about why you turn some people off. It's antics like this. Don't think you're going to do something like that and everybody's going to be rocking out with you. That was a bozo move. I'm sorry to say. You had no right putting that guy's business out there, number one, like that. And number two, you didn't address his point. You said you heard he finds it difficult to even stand up out of a chair. He did a video saying that. And he wasn't even sounding malicious in that video. All he said was, yo, Stephen A. Smith, I like you, but I don't even know where you get your sources from. That's all he said. And then you got to go into all of that. And then you get on TV, yo, like, yo, what the, who? Man, maybe y'all let me know, man. Maybe I need to do some more research. Maybe Stephen A. Smith lived another life where he was some kingpin. I don't know. But yo, like that was a bozo move, and I wasn't feeling that, and a lot of people weren't. So what I want to know from you guys is, what do you think about this exchange? Whatever you guys think about the show we produced today, please leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section. And if you want the full show, be sure to subscribe to the Dreamerspro podcast on Spotify and iTunes that we have linked in the comments below. Catch you guys on the next show.